Okay, summary. We up here at Tzadik developed a theme that there's a difference between zricha and hoifa. Zarach mehar sayer, hoifia mehar para. That HaKodesh Baruch Hu's revealing himself and his Torah to us. It's two ways. There's a way of zricha, zarach mehar sayer, and there's a way of hoifa, which is an appearance of a lighter form. In the sense that not as lighter, in the sense that it's not as begolui, it's not as mefurish as a zricha. I thought. Listen, quoted the lashon of the pasuk pua. Pua, rachis diburei shel adam nikra haifa. Shifra mefapaz is a vlad u. It's not as mefurish. It's minister. You hear a baby talking, you have to. You hear a baby talking, you have to be a mother to understand. So once just while I'm here, Sefer Hasidim, somebody asked him, one of the tough kufayin tzadik, somebody said that. There's a person davening and he's saying he can't pronounce the words. He's not saying the words right. And somebody said to Rabbi Yaacov, what kind of a tefillah is that? So he said, ad kadei kach, and instead of saying, nafshenu chiksa la Hashem, my nefesh is hoping, is putting its hope in Hashem. He's saying nafshenu hiksa la Hashem. He can't say a ch. He's saying ad kadei kach. So he says the bezoin, you shouldn't say the words. You shouldn't daven. So the Sefer Hasidim said. In the Sefer Hasidim, he writes that davening, you're supposed to say the words correctly, but davening, it's HaKodesh Baruch Hu is like a mother hearing a baby. Nobody else understands him, but the mother understands the baby. The mother understands somehow the child. I'm not talking about a child with a speech impediment, but like somehow or another, that's a language for a mother. So that's a language for HaKodesh Baruch Hu. So that's how Shifro Pua, the Pua is a lashon of Haifa. In a certain way, and this is what Reb Tzadik developed, in a certain way, the haifa is deeper than the zricha, because the zricha is something which is mefurish. So somebody tells you something mefurish, it's mefurish. Haifa, you don't understand, so you have to gather up all of your kochos and all of your intuition and your intellect and your emotions to be able to understand what's going on there. So basof, it's actually a deeper experience, the experience of understanding the haifa. Is a deeper experience, and there's a deeper havana than if I just say something. The truth is, like take my example of a baby. Babies don't lie. No, people don't lie until we teach them to lie. Lying requires chinuch. Pashat pshat is babies don't lie. Little children don't lie to tell the truth until we tell them, don't say that. Stop saying that. So that's this is the deeper experience. It's the two words that we've been working with. The operating words is nevuah and Ruach HaKodesh. So nevuah is that which comes to us b'mefursh, and Ruach HaKodesh is that which we have to be very, very deep within ourselves to be able to understand it. And that's what we've learned until now. This is also the difference we learned between the luchos rishonos and the luchos shniyos. The luchos rishonos, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, there was hiskalus gemura of HaKodesh Baruch Hu Tam Yisrael, absolute complete hiskalus, no two ways about it. And as opposed to then Moshe Rabbeinu broke those luchos, which were hiskalus gemura, so that was in the bechina of Zarach, and we received the luchos shniyos shebachashoinin. They were given behelim, they were given. Which al pi Chazal, that was the makor for the luchos for the Torah Shebal Peh. In fact, I'm not sure exactly where this comes from, but it's makubal that the luchos are repeated twice, once in Parshas Yisro and once in Parshas Ve'eschanan, and all it is Ve'eschanan is a repeat of the story of what happened in Yisro. It's not a different story; it's the same story. This is what it said. But it's mekubal through the Doris that what the Luchos and Parshas Yisrael were the Luchos Rishonos and the Luchos and Parshas Eschan and the Luchos Shniyos. V'nitonim lihidarish, there's more drasha. And b'chal the whole Mishnah Torah, there's more drashas on Devarim than there are on Bereshit Shmos V'Yikra B'Midbar. Because it was the Torah Shebal Peh of Moshe Rabbeinu, that was the Haskalah of Torah Shebal Peh. And what was it? Sof Kol Sof, it was Musar that he gave to Klal Yisrael, Teichacha, that he gave to Klal Yisrael. So that's the derech that we've been going on. Luchos Rishonos, Luchos Shniyos. If we had to make a chart, we'll bring that board out. Have the Luchos Rishonos, I don't know where to put it. There's the Luchos Rishonos, Luchos Shniyos, Kenegdam, Nevuah, Ruach HaKodesh. The Luchos Kenegdam, Zricha, and Haifa. So that's the way this travels. And here he says, Moshe Rabbeinu alav Hashem, you have it inside? We started learning this. Moshe Rabbeinu haritar min hashamayim la'aretz. Moshe Rabbeinu's job was to bring what was in the Elyonim to the Tachtainim. He brought from a high place to a low place. Min hashamayim la'aretz. Yeshua, his successor, on the other hand, Balalamed Erka Shel Eretz Yisrael. He was the Israel guy. So Yeshua Lalamed Erka Shel Eretz Yisrael Sheyecholim Lahalois Kol Inyanei Haaretz LaShamayim V'Lahashem. It's possible to bring everything up. You see, this is the difference. Rabbi said, this is the difference between Eretz Yisrael and the whole world. That all over the world, you can be Mekadosh things to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's called in the language of the Mekubalim, you can be Malon and Tzaitzis, sparks. But Eretz Yisrael is not about Malon and Tzaitzis. Eretz Yisrael, the Etzim Guf Haaretz, you're Malon to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Al Yidei Hachet, let's be medayik here. Al Yidei Hachet Shviras Luchos v'Hutzir Chaluchos Achronis B'Tzina. What's the Chet of Shviras Luchos? What was the Chet? The Chet is the Chet of the Eagle. What's the Chet of Shviras Luchos? Al Yidei Hachet Shviras Luchos v'Hutzir, which necessitated luchos achronos b'tzina, new luchos shniyos, but in a different type of luchos b'tzina. What happened? Shenelam zrichas or behiskalus. What happened at that moment is that there was a hiddenness of the original zricha, nevuah, luchos rishonos, v'nikvu b'mishnah Torah shamar Moshe mipiatzmai. And it all went into the Mishnah Torah where you'll find Parshas V'Ischanon, the Luchos Shniyos, which were Behelim. See, let me just explain something which is a little bit nogay. That the Zohar says that when Moshe Rabbeinu broke the Luchos, so the pieces of the Luchos, thousands of pieces, little stones that were once luchos. So they, mosaica, as in Moses, mosaica, little tiny stones all over the place. When those stones went all over the place, so it became the ruchnius, the job of all of the generations of Golos to pick up those pieces. Those pieces, we brought them along, Shivrei Luchos, Menachem Bar. Picking up those pieces is being Malon and Tzaitzis. We find a Jew here and a Davar Kodesh there and a Davar Kodesh here. That's what Golos is for. Because the Shviras HaLuchos were Germ HaGolos. That's what we're going to explain how. Shviras HaLuchos weren't just Shviras HaLuchos as an end, as a story that happened, a finished story in a frame. The Shviras HaLuchos was the beginning of a very big story. It was a story of thousands of years of Golos. where we need to pick up those pieces. You can't just forget about the Luchos Rishonos. And when we pick up the pieces, says the Zohar, meaning every Baal Tshuva is a piece of the Luchos, Shniyos. Every time, so Rav Kook, Zatzal writes that when he was in, right after World War I believe, he was thrown into a gullus. He was traveling around Europe, didn't have a place to be really. He was here, he was there. So when he came to Eretz Yisrael, he reflected on the time that he was in Gullus, a horrible time for him. He said that his purpose in Gullus was to be malatuna tzaitzos, he writes. It was the Nazir, was your grandfather or something?
Great uncle's father.
Great uncle's father. And Reb Hillel Zeitlin, the two Talmidim of Rav Kook. There were two university people, I think, professors or something. One was a poet and a professor, and they came to Rav Kook. They were taken to Rav Kook. They became huge Talmidei Chachamim and Talmidim. So he said this whole Golus, because Golus is to be Mal and Tzaitzis. That's what he writes. The whole thing was about that. So, you don't have to be Rav Kook, and it doesn't have to be the Nazir. We've all been in Golus, and the purpose of the Golus is to be Mal and Tzaitzis. That's the Shivrei Luchos that we need to pick up. Eretz Yisrael, Yeshua's Eretz Yisrael, is Ruach HaKodesh. We're not Malin and Tzaitzis in Eretz Yisrael. The whole thing, every single thing that happens in Eretz Yisrael is for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everything. There's no scattered Tzaitzis here, because this is the gather in a Bechin of Luchos Rishonos. These galus of Hashem in Eretz Yisrael.
How about the mitzvahs of the things that don't appear to be? You're saying they still are?
We have to be not appearing and not appearing. It's not you're picking out mitzvahs like you are in Golos. A lot of bad in Golos, but there's a lot of good. So you got to pick out the good from Golos, bring it to the Geula.
And here, what's
everything's good. Everything can become good. Everything can become good. Which of course was Rav Kook's whole philosophy. Now there's a Golus. In Golus, you certainly don't see that light. By the way, I just want to be mefarish that, Moshe, what is it? Mishnah Torah Sefer Dvarim. Sefer Dvarim Moshe was Mipiatzma. Everything has been Nevuah. Machlekes and Gemara Bava Basra about the last day Psukim. Everything was been Nevuah. But the difference, it was a different kind of Nevuah. Apparently, the Nevuah of the Arba Chumshei Torah was a Nevuah of Nevuah. Moshe Rabbeinu stood in the Ol Moed, and the Mamish received Nevuah, and according to Rabbi Kiva on Har Sinai. But the Mishnah Torah was a gather of Ruach HaKodesh. It was Moshe Rabbeinu mipi. That's what he says here. Amar Moshe mipi atzma. That's what he says. So it was a nevuah. It was from Hashem, but it was much more dakistic. It was mipi atzma. Ad kedei kach that he was able to say, "Vayamas Moshe avad Hashem." That's how much it was. But it was mipi atzma. It was Ruach HaKodesh. So it went through his system.
I think not going to be the halacha between the things of the Mishnah Torah and things of the rest of the...
Yeah, like Ein Darshan Smuchim, the Mishnah Torah, all kinds of kolim. There's differences.
And that's why, because different level.
Sure, different level. But in a way, it's a lower level. It's not his galus, it's not nevuah. On a way, it's a higher level because it's deeper. Shemizeh ha-yisoid, and this is where we're going with this today, gentlemen. Shemizeh ha-yisoid l'Torah shebal peh, shebigias basar yuchul hasig hanelam. The point of Torah shebal peh is that we didn't want it to be this way necessarily. This is not l'chatchila. L'chatchila, we look up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He tells us what to do. But we lost that luxury, for better and for worse. The for worse is that we lost the luxury, and now we're walking around in the dark. Who knows?
What's basar? Here's the gashmas?
People.
Flesh.
Yeah. Whereas the good news is that we're able to process the Dvar Hashem through our own kedusha, through our own neshamas and our own seichel and our own leiv. We're able to process the Dvar Hashem, and you come out actually with a better product. You actually come out with a deeper product. it's a gather of. I always mentioned that the Chabas Chaim once said that he's not so impressed with how much Torah a certain person would go through. He's more impressed with how much the Torah went through him. Chabas Chaim, a zog of the Chabas Chaim. The Ruach HaKodesh means that my whole lavavcha, the whole nafshecha, the whole yadecha, it's mamash me. That's why the Gemara darshans that think about this drasha. A Talmud Chacham that lost his learning, you still have to be machabed him. What's the drasha? Luchais. Shivrei Luchais Menachem and Aronachas. So the Talmud Chacham who lost his learning is the Shivrei Luchais. Meaning that the Shivrei Luchais is the Torah Shabbat Peh, means that it went completely through this man. Every sinew is Kadosh. The person's really a Talmud Chacham. Really, the Torah really went through him as he went through the Torah. So he's Kulei Kadosh. Doesn't make a difference if his mind happens to work. His mind doesn't happen to work. Okay, so the mind wears out after 80, 90 years. But as long as you're alive, and your neshama even after you're alive has this kedusha. Takes us back to Yishmael, which was Haifia Mehar Paran, if you recall. The Haifia Mehar Paran, the Haifa was that Esav was a Chatzonius. And Nevuah is a Chatzonius. V'zarach Mehar Seir means HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a Chatzonius of Nevuah. From Yishmael is Machayev us in a Panemius. Yishmael looks better on the outside than Esav. They don't look so good these days, but they generally speaking, they're davening in the middle of the street and stuff like that. They're not. I don't honestly believe that what we see here is B'nai Yishmael B'chlal. I don't think so. Arabs from some countries and elsewhere. I should say that they're B'nai Yishmael. I don't think they should have the schus to be called the B'nai Yishmael. They were Makabel Mohammed, who was Yishmaeli. The Rambam says, Ha-Yishmaeli. How's that? It's a taste that every Palestinian is a Yishmaeli. Such a jump to say such a thing. And that's why you see Midas of Esav in Yishmael. You find the Paradim are blowing up buses and stabbing people in cold blood. It's not a Midah of Yishmael, it's a Midah of Esav. So Yishmael looks better, Batsum, if you really meet somebody. Somebody told me, Gadol once told me that he thinks that the Druzim are possibly B'nai Yishmael.
Druzim?
Certain Bedouins, I don't know. I'm not. You have to do genetic testing or something. But I'm not lo barurli that it's B'nai Yishmael. But you see midas of Esav, the etzem midas of Yishmael, Hachmas Asarachim, and things that Yishmael are good at, and they do, is Ma'ir Klal Yisrael to a deeper Pnimius. That's what we said. Haifia Me'ar Paran. Huderach Haifa Behelam Loi Bezricha. So all of this, let's get to the point. All of this where we are, we lost that strong original light is, to sum it up, pretty lousy in the sense that we have to go through a lot of golos and a lot of amelos in order to come to something emes. Who knows if we even come to an emes? And a lot of machlokas. I'm not talking about bad machlokas. Even machlokas is shemayim. A lot of machlokas is very confusing. Right? What are you actually supposed to do? Machlokas. You would think that if things would be b'nevuah, it wouldn't be any machlokas. It would just be. What do you mean? What did Hashem say? When somebody first gets into religion, it's like just what did God say? That's all. Like I believe. Just tell me what He says. Very so simple. This one holds like that. That one holds like this. Like what happened over here? So it's a confusing darkness. But says Reb Tzadik Elikim Chashva L'Toiva. He's quoting Yosef HaTzadik when he. At the end, it was a very, very difficult journey for us to get here, for Yosef to get to Mitzrayim, and for you to get to Mitzrayim. But Elikim Chashva L'Toiva, there's something toiv. Ki b'zeh, because of the really chet ha'egel, and because of the shviras haluchos, and because of the golus, and because of the confusion, ki b'zeh yicholim lahasig harbe yoser. We have a much stronger hasaga. So on the one hand, we say, Niskadna Hadoros, what do we know? And what do we know compared to the earlier generations? On the other hand, you see the Gemara says that Rabbi Akiva knew more than Moshe Rabbeinu. Because it was Ruach HaKodesh. He had to know more. He had to struggle more.
So it's minister. So the choshen that was created is what's helping us with it.
The struggle. The fact that you have to struggle around, a person who has to struggle becomes more sensitive and learns how to get around in a dark room better than the person of the light. You memorize the dark room. You know every inch of the dark room. Helen Keller knows her way around better than a seeing person because she's noticing every single bump and every single thing. So, Lakim Chosh V'Latayva, even though we say Niskatna, there is the fact of the matter is we're in a stronger position than even Rabbi Kiva or Rabbi Kiva Eger, because there's more gullus if we use it. I always think this, just a personal thing. I always think that when I was in yeshiva, if you were in yeshiva, you probably had the same experience. But I was in yeshiva, so there were certain people that were like, you could just die of envy. They were just like so smart. And so such iluyim and everything, came easy to them, and they remembered everything, and you know for sure that they're the ones that are going to be like the future gedolim of Klal Yisrael. At that time they were 18 years old, but they're going to be the future gedolim. So so I look now back and I say, okay, where are all those guys? Not one of them became anything remarkable. Too easy, maybe. The people that did become were the ones that struggled. The chap is that even if you're an Eloi, you still struggle. Get to the next level. That's the chap. There's nobody's so smart that they don't have to go further. But it's the ones that need to struggle. I see it with even our kids, like the ones that struggle become, internalize everything. V'alzeh nemar ha'am ha'holchim, Yeshayahu said this, ha'am ha'holchim b'choshech ra'u or gadol. So somehow, when you're walking in darkness, the light has a different significance. The people, the Jews, that walked in darkness, they saw the or gadol. It wouldn't be such an or gadol of Mashiach if we were walking in light. Shaha'or ayidei zeh gadol harbe yoser or is much stronger when it comes out of darkness. And here we have a beautiful chiddush. V'zehu hamakoim shebalei tshuva oimdim she'en yochayim tzadikim gemur michal olamot. So, if you look at this in a sophisticated way, not a throwaway line of Chazal, but about tshuva, real about tshuva. I mean, the person who David HaMelech about tshuva has had to do a lot more soul searching and internalizing and finding what am I really and what made me do that and how can I not do that. A lot more work in the Baal Tshuva than there is in the tzaddik, the person who never did the chet.
They've been in the darkness.
The darkness. So the struggle in darkness made this man, and ad kedei kach that Chazal tell us, "Makom shebalei tshuva himdim, ein tzadikim gemurim yichol olam." And your tzaddik adds a piece here. Ki mitoich merirus hatshuva. Tshuva is a bitter process, a very difficult process. Tshuva. It's not just it's very difficult to admit. I mean, think about the steps of tshuva. Charot al avar. You have to get out of denial. You have to really face the fact that I might have done something really bad. I need to change. To really discipline yourself to change, to admit vidui. These are difficult, very difficult things. But it says merirus hatshuva, merirus hatshuva, tshuva, real bal tshuva, real thing, We're talking about from people, Bali Tshuva. I'm not talking about a cultural change. If you really need to change something over, that's miras about Tshuva. Zoichin la'or hagonus l'tzadikim la'azid lavai shloi niglo lahem ba'olam hazeh. It's those real Bali Tshuva that are zoicha to the or hagonus. See, let's how does he know that? What's the or hagonus? Argonos, the Gemara says that, what does it mean that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the sun and the moon on, what day? Wednesday, right? What does it mean that he created the sun and the moon? Kilu, like there was no light. It already says Vayera, Vayiboker, Yom Rishon. There was light there. So says the Gemara, Taich, that the world started off completely light. It would have been completely light without a sun. Hard to imagine, right? What is that light? No, what was that light?
It was.
Shekhinah.
Okay, I mean, something we can't be masig, right? Like, how can you have light without a source of light? The sun gufa is light. I don't know what's the without something giving you light. So Ruach HaKodesh Baruch Hu is dar hamabel v'es dar stoim, and he saw all the averis of mankind, and he said, I'm not going to give them this light. He's not going to be able to work in this light. I'm not going to give them this light. So Gonzu la'asad l'tzadikim la'asad lavai. He was goynei, says the Gemara, the or of the bria to the asad lav for tzadikim to use la'asad lavai. That's called the or hagonus. He hid that light away. And now we use the light of the sun. So, what's the pshat? The pshat is that, think about it, it's so pasha what Tzadik is saying here. It's so pasha that, in other words, the original idea was, the original chap was, there's just going to be light here. Just light. We're just basking in light. Everything is clear. No machlokes. Other Mauritian said, Eitz Hadas, Dar Hamabel, Dar people. It means to say that now, if you want to attain that light, you're going to have to struggle through Golus, through Choshech to get that light. Yisrin ha'or min ha'choshech. The or that I created, the Sheish Bereishis, may have been a good idea, but this is really a better idea, just a more difficult one. The better idea is get through all of the history, get through a Stom and a Dar Mabel and go through an Avram, a Tikkun of Avram, and an Yitzchak of the Shvatim and David HaMelech. Go through all of the Tikkunim and then you'll get the Tzadikim will get the Aragonus. Same thing as we've been learning, meaning no longer is it Nevuah, now it's Ruach HaKodesh. So that's the Aragonus. The Aragonus l'Tzadikim, and that's why he says the Balei Tshuva Daika are Zocha to the Aragonus. Mitach meritorious hatshuva, it's the journey of darkness which brings you to the or hagonas. Otherwise, you're never going to get there.
So they become tzaddikim?
Tzaddikim, bigger. And that's the makom, the Balei Tshuva Oimnim Shel Tzaddik. Somebody who's gone through this process of choshech, the process of choshech will, perforce, come to a deeper level of light at the end.
So it's not really the same light.
Yeah.
I mean, how can it be the same light? If the Oragonus was pre-Choshech, there should be some sort of different light.
I think it's a different Havana in the same light. Meaning that light is only, up here what it reflects on. So it reflects one way on Balei Tshuva, and another way on Tzaddikim. Look, it's like the Mesil Shisharm says that, that sometimes a tzaddik has to become at some point an ani and at some point an ashir, at some point a Bal Yisurim, because otherwise you just really don't understand those things. It's not just about giving eitzes to other people. You just simply don't understand. If you haven't had the experience, if you haven't had the experience of anius, there's a whole piece of ruchnius that you're not going to understand what it means, and you'll never be able to give your heart over to an ani really. Rahmanas, it doesn't have. You're never going to really get it. It's people that have gone through stuff and survived and worked through it. That's the so tshuva is zoche to the Or Haganus. Who's our mathematician here? What's the gematria of Or Haganus, Danny? Come on. Or Haganus, we need a gematria calculator. 278.
Should be an app for that.
Huh?
Should be an app for that.
There is.
There is?
I'm sure. 278 is the exact gematria of ki imcha haslicha. Or Haganus, the same gematria as ki imcha haslicha. Meaning, imcha is the key. Ki imcha haslicha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's this intimacy of choshech, being together with somebody in the choshech, being together with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the choshech. The intimacy brings the slicha, brings to the Or Haganus. The Or Haganus comes only through tshuva. That's how we know Or Haganus. The Arizal's gematria now. The imcha slicha is the Or Haganus. Ki mitoch meritorious hatshuva zoichim la'or haganus l'tzadikim la'asulabash le'nigle lahem ba'olam hazeh. You'll never see it while still being in olam hazeh. Ki efsher li'iskalus ba'olam hazeh el mitoch choshech hakodim daika. You need to go through enough choshech, which is basically all of life, in order to be a Chabas, that kind of a tzadik. So, look, nobody wants to go through tzaras, but the good news is that you can become better for it. Every struggle you can become better for. Kibriyase shaloylam. I tell you, I go back to the Iluyim and the yeshiva. It's not just that it's too easy. They never get it right. They never learn correctly. If you're too smart, you chop it too quickly, and you don't get it right. You don't get the omek. You don't get the omek.
So you have to understand the wrong how we mean to understand the shot.
No, I know a lot about this because I'm not very smart. But the having to really work hard to understand something and to internalize and to make it, you have a havana that nobody. It's a whole different thing. I know I'm not saying anything post Gib Gedolim. I just want to tell you something that my Rebbe said, that at the same time, two Sfarim came out at the same time. The Igros Moshe, or Moshe Feinstein, that's how, was it Ilu Yatzim, by the way. Moshe was Ilu Yatzim, and Amal B'Torah, Godel Hadar, without question. At the same time came out the Hart Tzvi, or Pesach Tzvi Fry. So these two Sfarim came out, whatever that was, in 1940 or whatever, 1955, 1953, came out these two Sfarim, and Rav Scheinberg's Minigos, when new Sfarim like that, Poskim came out, he went through it top to bottom, and those are things looking something up. He went through from beginning to end. Moshe came out and said, read it, read the book, that was his, that's the way he did things. So he was a baki at every psak of Rav Moshe. He was a baki at every psak of Rashi Pesach without question. He knew floor. So I remember he once said, it made a big impression on me. He said that he thinks that the derech of the Hart Tzvi of Rashi Pesach is more la halacha than the Igros Moshe. Rav Moshe to us growing up was and he was. Rav Moshe taught us how to be Jews in America. We wouldn't know what to do. We didn't know what to do about. What do you do about conservatives? What do you do about milk? What do you do about anything? Nobody knew anything about how are you a Jew? We knew in Europe. We didn't know. But he said that Rav Moshe, he says, what's the, in his mind, he was just giving us a derech and a halacha. What's the chasard of the Igros Moshe? He's too big of an Eli. His chaps are too brilliant. It's too mechudesh. It's too beautiful. Frank is, this is what the Gemara says, as the Rashi says, the Tosfos is very, there was a lot. He wasn't the Eloi. That's what he said. He wasn't the Eloi that Rav Moshe was. So he said he relates to it more in halacha because there's more. He felt there's less kedusha. I'm not absolutely. I would be very, very happy to be blessed by either one of them. But I'm just saying, like, there is such a thing of having to go through a certain process of amelus to be in better shape, actually, and then in better exercise of the person who's born with that milo. Finish. Kibriyasai, Yavshir Lizgalus Boilam Azel Mitay Choshech HaKodim Dafke Kibriyasai Shaloilam. You see the way the world itself was created. Bereisha Chashucha V'Hadar Nahira. Vayera Vayboker. First darkness has to come before light. Ki Yisr Nahar Min HaChoshech. V'chein, and then we also see that the way Hashem worked it is He didn't quite, way back to the beginning of Kedusha Shabbos, if you've been with us for a long time, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not create Shabbos first. What did He create first? 6 days of the week. Sheishas Yomim Tazim Lachtecha, and then comes Shabbos. Why? Bereisha Chashucha V'Hadar Nahira. Because first you have to struggle through the week and figure out how to make a living and shear your sheep and cook your cooking until you can get to a Yom Shekula Shabbos, which is Menucha, which is Hiskalos, which is all done for you. Lachtecha Asuya. So that's you see that the Sheishas Yomim came before Shabbos. You could have done it the other way around. Could have created Shabbos first and then worked from there. Shas Hiskalus are. Ubepoyol, and if you want to really understand it, says Reb Tzadok, came Shisha Alfei Shnei Doilam Hazeh. Comes back right to Mamish Parakal of Kedusha Shabbos. That's the pshat in the 6,000 years that lead up to Mashiach. That there has to be a struggle of 6,000 years until Mashiach comes. This was there already. The 6,000 years are Keneged, the Sheishis Yemei Hamasa. And Shabbos is Yom Shekula, Shabbos and Nucha L'chai Olam Haba. It's the day of eternity. But you in order to come to that age of Geula, that or of Geula, the Messianic age, you have to struggle somehow through these 6,000 years. So we keep saying HaKadosh Baruch Hu, maybe we struggled enough. Maybe this counts for 1,000 years, the one Holocaust, maybe that counts for 1,000 years. So okay, so B'itach Hishana, there's, we're looking for that balance. Let's struggle maybe a little bit less. It's like when you're exercising. Is it over yet? It's you struggle a little bit less. Maybe okay, it's good enough. So, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu is making this balance all the time. But you need to have. Bottom line is you have to have that walking through Ha'am Ha'olchim B'choshech Roar Gadol. V'acher kach. Only then can you have Yom Shekula Shabbos U'Menucha U'Kedusha. Ki lo yiyeh oid shum metzius ra. Because once Mashiach comes, there will be no ra. And if there will be no ra, so what are we going to do all day? If we're not fighting ra. So we have to get to that place. V'zehu, this is a beautiful thought, Hasuda de Leviasan v'shar habar. When Mashiach comes, it says we're all going to eat from the Leviasan and from the wild shore. Shehu mizvichas beis ha'yitzurim d'taiva. Kimar ish v'levayos, Leviasan. He says the dagim pritzi, we see that fish are very promiscuous. Like they're all around the place, they're everywhere. Fish. K'mashisa b'parakas sfina. Udekas v'sina v'kina. Zel mita shor nagach. An angry shore. So we're talking about two things, like a kilkul in mitos of the shore represents. The shore represents a kilkul. The shore could be dangerous, could become a shore amuad, if not trained, if not disciplined. So the kilkul and mitos of kas and kina and sina, that's the shore. And the fish is the mita, not so angry, they're not, unless it's a shark, they're not so angry, but they're very promiscuous. Zeh mita shor nagach. Shigam behema isla yitzra denashcho bat. Behema also has the yitzhar to bite, to kick, to get its way, to push everybody out of the way. Aggressiveness of a shore. It's aggressive. Something we need, if we're aggressive, we need to work on. Meneged zeh, so what are we doing with the Sudas Mashiach? We're eating a fish in a shore. Beautiful. Meneged zeh, gam kein Sudas Shabbos. And that's why on Shabbos we eat basar v'dagim. Well, the basar v'dagim, the leviasan, and the shor habar. Yom Shish, after the 6 days of struggle through our midos and through our aggressiveness and trying to be honest and trying to be good people and trying to do chesed with people, then we shechted the darn shore and we eat the fish. This is where we get to on Shabbos. It's like a mini Mashiach. When you eat the gefilte fish, it's like mamash eating the sudas leviyasa. And when you eat the cholent, you know how much aggression goes into that cholent. See, people make a vegetarian cholent, has no seichel at all. There's nothing. It's like a bracha l'vatala. You can't make a bracha on it. Well, the whole thing is that you're harnessing the aggression of the shark, cooking it to death. And there's nothing like it. Neged zeh gam kein zu der Shabbos mitzvah gam kein bebasar v'dagim ki hu me'ein olam haba ve'echad mishishim bay. So the Shabbos, that little piece of gefilte fish of the cholent, so that's 1/60th me'ein olam haba. Yom Shabbos menucha. That's 1/60th of the real thing. The Roy Mays in this 1/60th is a remes for us to toikef ha'elam she'ein b'shum iskalos gamber b'payel. What does it mean when something's batal b'shishim? It's there, but it's not really there. You don't really feel it. You're not really margish. As gishmak as Shabbos could be with the basar v'dagim, it's echad b'shishim. It's batal to the real or hagonus. That's gonus l'tzadikim, because so Shabbos is a mini geula. It's a new way of looking at Shabbos. It's a mini geula because we went through the sheishis yemei ma'aseh. Geula itself is the macro geula because we went through not 6 days but 6,000 years of life and sorrows and oppression and al shvartz yar until we get to the geula. So then Shabbos Yom Shekula Shabbos and Menucha l'chayei lamin. Mashisa b'teres chayim and Bava Basra. Echad mishishim hushir bitzel. Ukamisha eino l'gabe akadusha the osbi skalas. Mikol makom, it still is a me'ein zeh. Okay.